Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Filter Gen Z. We are young Americans fighting to defend the truth. And again, there's a huge story we got to talk about. Trump was almost assassinated once again. Not once, but twice now that he has almost been killed. I mean, this is the former president and current GOP candidate for president. And this just keeps happening. So we're going to dive into it with our panelists today. But before we get them on, I want to tell you guys, if you're not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button. Support No Filter Gen Z. Support the message. We're going to keep doing this and fighting for what matters. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to bring on Lydia and Fadana back to the show. Welcome back, guys.
Hi.
All right,
Hi.
guys. So, again, like you heard me say, this is a huge story. I hate that we even have to talk about it, but again, second time, Trump has now almost been assassinated once again. What are your initial thoughts? Fadana first.
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's just going to be a nonstop game until they try to take him out. But I think you can kind of see that there is a higher power, and that higher power is God, because we've seen the multiple attempts that have happened, how God has always prevailed and has always won over what the enemy has set for evil. And even the video, seeing that Trump acknowledged that not once, but twice, that God literally delivered him, it just shows that he is starting to have a posture of humility, I would say.
Lydia, what about you?
First I would say this shouldn't be a surprise at all that this happened again. I mean, it is initially, but then we have to kind of look back and just see, okay, I mean, it makes sense
They've
because this
tried
really is.
everything. They've tried everything.
Yes, exactly. Like that's really the reality of it now, and it really is a spiritual attack. It really is good versus evil. I mean, this is even though like you still have Christians that wouldn't vote for him and they claim, how in the world would the Lord trying to be like saving Trump right now, but that's 100% what's happening
Yeah, and we
for sure.
see we see in the Bible many times God is the ultimate decider on what we do. If we trust Him, then we can't control everything. He has a higher plan than we know. So, like Fadana mentioned, Trump did mention this. So let's check out this clip real quick of Trump acknowledging God.
And God has now spared my life. It must have been God. Thank you. Not once, but twice. And there are those that say he did it because Trump is going to turn this state around. He's going to turn this country around. He's going to make America great again. And maybe. And we're going to bring back religion into our country.
You heard it from Trump. I mean, I like that. I think we need that back in our country. We've lost the fear of God everywhere. So, Lydia, what are your thoughts on Trump actually coming out and saying that in a New York rally, by the way? He thinks we can win New York this time. So what do you think?
That's a huge indicator of really what this ultimately is. Once again, I mean, it is a spiritual battle, and for him to be able to recognize that and see that, like, this is not, just him against other humans, other people that are trying to take him out, but it really is ultimately he realizes that we really need to bring it back to Christ. We need to bring back religion,
Yeah,
especially obviously Christianity, because that is, a founding principle here, and that we definitely need to re-implement into society for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah, and then even I mean if we just had a school shooting the other day, that's what we talked about a few weeks ago, and you can't even pray in the schools anymore. So bringing religion back is something we have to do in this country, and I like that Trump's taking that stance. Fidana, what do you think about it?
I have been for bringing God back to school from the beginning. Even when I was in high school, I used to be a part of the FCA and leading prayer groups around the flagpole in high school. Some people probably thought that was weird, but if anything, I made a lot more friends because, to be honest with you, Jesus isn't something that's really talked about at the schools, but I know Jesus is reaching the hearts of the high schoolers, the middle schoolers, and I'm so proud of what FCA is still doing.
Yeah.
For him to mention that and wanting to acknowledge how powerful the presence of God is, and for him to see that the presence of God is over his life, I can just imagine bringing God back in the schools, how much things are going to transform, especially with the school shootings that are taking place on a daily now.
Yeah, and I mean that's such a a vision that you can look at when you see Trump has almost gotten killed twice now. There's something keeping him alive. And for him to acknowledge that's God, I love it. And I think we just got to keep, keep going forward. And hopefully he survives till November. But what I keep thinking is, if God wants someone alive, can't kill him. It's just
That's
impossible.
it.
But
That's
we do have some information on the shooter. I'll show you guys a picture real quick. This is Ryan Routh or Ruth. Yeah, you can see he has a Ukrainian flag in his hand. And here's his car. If you notice a Biden Harris sticker on it. So I mean, what do you guys think about this? Is this guy? Is he just crazy, or is it a result of something that the left has done, Lydia?
I definitely think there's indoctrination at place there. I remember like when the war in Ukraine started, I mean, it was definitely pushed as far as like in America, like talking about it, and what happened over there. I mean, it is tragic, but it's also just shows like where the agenda is and how it definitely has influence. I mean, he's a prime example of, how it's probably affected so many people just outside of him.
Hmm.
And you can definitely see that in just even how he talks, how he holds himself. Like there's very much something going on there that's deeper than even what we're seeing. I mean, it is spiritual,
Yeah.
so there definitely is some influence on him that way as well. I would definitely say.
Well, when they talk about him like he's a threat to democracy, I'll show you guys a video in a second. But they talk about him like he's this horrible dictator, Hitler-esque. They always talk like that. Of course, people are gonna listen and get messed up and think we got to stop this guy because of how they talk to him. Do you think that's a factor that we got to look at, Fadana?
Of course. I mean, if anything, like the left media is always trying to make it seem like Trump, anytime he makes a speech, they're trying to state that he's inciting violence. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything that Trump has said where he's inciting violence. Even they keep bringing the January 6th, what's the name of it? The Capitol, the
Yeah.
January 6th Capitol event that happened. They always keep bringing it and saying Trump incited violence. He didn't. Even with his tweet, if you go
He
back, he
said
said
peacefully and patriotically protest.
exactly how is that inciting violence in any way, shape, or form? I mean, whenever you heard Biden did the debate with Trump, he said, "Let's have him on a bullseyes." It is
Exactly.
inciting violence. How come when the left say something where it's just obvious that they're inciting violence, it's like no one called them out on it, but they always are trying to say that the right is inciting violence. And I think once they make someone out to be like Hitler, everybody is going to say, well, you know what, this person is so evil, is so they're so wicked. But people have to do their own homework and
Exactly.
really look into Trump's character and his personality. He's really not that awful of a person like they make him out to be.
Yeah, let's actually take a look right now what CNN said after the second assassination attempt. This is what they're saying right now. Listen.
Meantime, Trump is blaming the latest assassination attempt against him on Democratic rhetoric that he says is a threat to democracy in our country. How do you respond to him on that?
Well, I think that he has been the most inflammatory person, and in fact, Democratic rhetoric has not escalated in any way in recent months, hasn't escalated in any way. He has always been a threat to democracy. We've always said that. After all, this is the man who incited the riots on January 6th, who continued to cozy up to white supremacists and other racist hate groups. He is being very hypocritical, and he's trying to really turn the page away from his terrible performance at the debate.
So this lady, she's a representative or a senator, one of the two in Congress, and she basically just said, even after getting almost killed twice, that it's Trump's fault, that he is inciting this, that he's causing this. And what makes me really mad is that even after that, she goes again and says he's a threat to democracy. I mean, it seems like they're trying to get him killed. What do you think, Lydia?
I mean, 100%. I mean, they've been saying threat to democracy. They've been using that buzzwords forever now. And she talks about, oh, I haven't seen like a shift in the past few months of how, there's been talk. But really, I mean, that 100% has everything to do with what happened. I mean, they compare him to Hitler too.
Yeah.
When the first attempt had happened, and then they just claimed that nothing, there hasn't been any major shift that way as far as how they've been talking. But clearly there has been a shift, and it is extremely disheartening for us. And they talk about how, Republicans, man, like they really like they've been the ones that have been spewing like rhetoric like that. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
then
understand.
why hasn't Kamala or any of them even had any threats? Like
That's what I'm
it's
saying. I mean,
all one side onto Trump because we see
exactly.
the power of the media right now. It's scary that
Mhm.
the media has so much power to portray a message and then get people to actually think, "Oh my gosh, we got to stop this guy."
Right.
Fernanda, do you think that the media can there be a change? Like, can something change, or are we stuck with this?
In terms of what, like
Just
with
the constant rhetoric that the Democrats keep talking about to Trump. Is this going to change, or do we need does the White House need to change first? Like, I don't know what's going to change if Trump doesn't get elected.
To be honest with you, I don't think the left wing media is going to change the rhetoric whatsoever. I mean, even this week, I seen a short clip of Kamala. She was talking with Oprah, and she was like, if someone comes to my house, I'm gonna, use my gun and shoot them. That's very hypocritical because I can just attest to you that if Trump was to say something like that, they would be like, look at this racist white man, like he hates black people, he hates Mexican, and if you were to show up at his door, he would shoot you
That's exactly
without.
right.
That's
Hmm.
literally the rhetoric that they would paint about this man, literally. But you have Kamala, who's VP at the moment, stating these things, but no one is holding her accountable. To be honest with you, I think just like that lady that's talking, once they program these people, there's really no turning back because they just keep saying the same thing over and over again. Like, oh, the January 6th Capitol, he was inciting violence. Lady, go read his tweet with what he stated. He said march peacefully. He never incited violence. So if
Exactly.
they take a picture of how they want people to view you, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to make you out to be the bad guy. These people are not going to change their rhetoric until they get Trump out or kill him. But we all know they can't kill him because if they could have killed him, they would have killed him by now. So we know there's obviously, like we said, a higher power behind him, which is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there's even even there's got to be someone above the media because you can see all of the different networks say the exact same words. Like when they were saying that weird thing where Trump and Vance are weird. You saw the same exact wording on like 17 different networks. So that's weird that they're programming these networks exactly what to say to get us to think. And I think that's why we have to have our own views on everything because if not, you're just gonna be a sheep with everyone else. But one other thing I have to bring up is how the heck did someone know where Trump was going to be at the exact moment? He even came out and said that he didn't share his schedule with anybody. He wasn't on schedule to golf. It was a last minute decision that he told his Secret Service about. So is there a bad apple inside of Trump's team, Lydia?
I mean, I would 100% say that. I mean, there are bad apples everywhere in government and Secret Service. So there definitely is something going on there. I mean, I've noticed with myself the longer that I've paid attention to what's going on as far as just in general with politics in America, the less and less I trust the government
Yeah,
and the higher powers that be, And so I ultimately like 100% there is something going on there. There's something fishy. I mean, there was the first time this happened because, they see the shooter on the roof for hours on end, but no one says anything to warn Trump or to get him out of there. It's all
exactly.
these civilians and ultimately there's something going on there. There's always something going on in those types of realms. There's always an ulterior motive
Hmm.
with people that are involved. So I would 100% say that there's something very fishy going on.
And then Fadana, how can we even trust the FBI if we haven't heard anything about the last assassination attempt? There's been no progress with that whole thing, and now there's another one. How can we trust these big organizations that we're told to trust?
You honestly can't. I mean, if anyone want to decide tomorrow that they want to all of a sudden start trusting the FBI, they would be just stupid, to be honest with you. Because they've shown you times and times again, they don't really care for the protection of Donald Trump. Even with him, after the first attempt, that should kind of be a no-brainer that this
Yeah.
man needs more
He should have
security.
had max security after that. Like,
Right,
now
right,
they're doing it after two attempts.
right. It shouldn't have taken that many attempts for them to realize that this man, he's like one of the most hated people right now in America. And it's all because of the left wing media and their stupid agenda that they constantly portray him to be like Hitler when he's not like that at all. I've never heard Trump say in his speech, you know what? The dominant people is white
Yeah,
people with blonde hair and blue eyes. He's never stated any of these things at all. If anything, he's all about empowering the other groups and making our country to the best that it can be, because our country have been crumbling all these years because we have all these insiders that are constantly influencing our country. A lot of our things are no longer American made. They're made from foreign countries that obviously are slowly taking over the United States. So obviously, whenever you have an agenda to promote for the greater good, we all know the enemy's not going to be for it. He's going to
exactly.
attack whichever way he can.
Yeah, no matter what Trump says, if it's good, the enemy is going to attack it. And that's what we've seen. And I even saw a town hall he did the other day, and I watched the whole thing, and I was like, how can anybody disagree with this success agenda? He wants to make the average American successful again, bring taxes down, bring inflation down, and give them a chance to actually live. But somehow the media just completely just attacks that. I can't stand it. But Lydia, is there anything we can learn from this? Like, is there something that needs to change right now with Trump's, I don't know, his team or his security even? I mean, we can't let this happen third time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to kind of feed through who truly is in leadership and what truly went on there, because there's no way that someone would even know, like, the attempted, the assassin, that he would just happen to know where Trump would be. I mean, I don't think that's an accident. I definitely think there needs to be a crackdown on security.
I
I
think he
definitely
needs his
think,
own private security.
yes, that would be great. That isn't like, the security that's going on now, because clearly that hasn't worked the past two
He needs
times.
like triple the security he's being given because
Yes.
this is ridiculous.
It is
Because
ridiculous.
yes, and the thing is, if this would happen to Kamala or Biden, I mean, the media would be screaming. They would be so upset. They'd be like, "I can't believe we let this happen. How can we let this happen?" And then if it happened again, good
Oh
lord, if it
gosh.
happened again, if it was like for them, then it would definitely be much more talked about
And you know
than
what
it
they're
is.
doing is they're taking the whole thing and saying they're using it for gun uh, assault weapon ban thing again, just like we saw with the shooting, the school shooting. They're doing that again. But the funny thing is, it came out that the shooter got his guns illegally. This
Yeah.
attempted assassin had an AK-47 that was illegally obtained in Florida, and DeSantis, thank goodness that he is trying to keep this whole investigation in Florida so that the FBI can't hide everything. But Fidana, I
Yep.
mean, how can they take what was literally an illegal gun and say that they need to ban legal guns?
Honestly, they will try to do anything to try to take away your guns, whether it's Kamala implementing the program that she's stating, buyback, whenever she gets into office, they will try to do anything to confiscate your gun.
It's
But I
ridiculous.
think Americans should wake up. The minute that someone wants to take something from you that you are trying to use as a protection for yourself and for your family, that should kind of be a wake up call to you that this person could be putting you and your family in danger. And I mean, look at the school shootings. They will try to literally propagate and bring propaganda with anything to try to confiscate Americans' guns. That's how the left wing media works.
Yeah, it's actually scary that as many Americans, like as almost about half, it's almost like completely split down the middle of people that don't see this and people that do. Like, it's scary that there's that many people that are being manipulated by the people at the top. But the question is, and the top is not really the top. We know that God is at the real top of the world, right? Of the universe. So the question is, Lydia, is God keeping Trump alive?
Definitely. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that he is. I mean, he's already survived two assassination attempts, and it's almost voting month. So I would say that definitely the Lord has a plan for this country. The Lord has a plan for Trump. The Lord has a plan for just what's going down currently. And that I really do believe that the Lord will reveal things to like the general public, to American citizens. I feel like he'll have people come forward and tell the truth about what's really going on, because the American people deserve to know. They deserve to know
Yeah.
just as much as anyone else. And so I definitely believe that.
You would think that after someone is attacked and almost assassinated 2 times, that you would start to question what's really going on. Because if they're trying that hard to kill this guy before the election, that means the people in power with money and greed don't like him. And that should give all of us an indicator of who's really on the American people's side. But
Exactly.
Fadana, yeah, same question to you. I mean, we even see in Ephesians that it says that these battles are not physical.
Against flesh and blood, yeah.
Yes, they are
Against
spiritual. So, I mean, what do you think? Is Trump being kept alive by God?
Of course, just like you stated with Ephesians, that Ephesians 6, that our battles is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and the rulers of darkness. And we all know that those who are in high positions, a lot of them are tapped into things of the occult and
Yes.
darkness. So obviously they have a specific agenda, and if you're not within their agenda, then they're going to do anything to try to get you out. But we all know at the end, who wins is good. It's always good that will win over evil all day, every day. I mean, if anyone reads their Bible, we know what Revelation tell us is that Jesus is coming back and the war has already been won. And so that's something that Christians can put their faith in. And even with Trump, like I feel like that should be something that should build his faith
Yeah.
in God even more, for him to realize that, wow, God truly reigns. God truly is ruler over everything.
Yeah, it's a realization even for him to see that, someone is keeping him alive, and it's I don't know, Lydia, just real quick, what can you say to the Christians that are voting against Trump, that are voting for Kamala?
I mean, I would say you need to wake up. Like at this point, it's so incredibly obvious about, if you're having trouble and you're struggling with who to vote for, and you're, not voting for Trump for the wrong reasons. Oh, I don't like his personality, I don't like this or that. But it's like, if you see a man that's being hunted like this by everyone else, the media, the government, random assassins that just appear, obviously they're government there's something else going on there, of course. But I would definitely say that there needs to be an awareness. Like you need to just truly understand and grasp that this is not just the physical, that this is the spiritual. There is something deeper here, and there's a reason why this is happening.
And then
100%.
especially since the candidate that we're talking about that has been almost killed is for life, is trying to protect things that like he wants religion back in the country. He wants the states to have the ability to decide what their laws are and stuff. So, I mean, Fadana, what do you say to these voters?
I would definitely say, well, there's a famous adage. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message.
Mm,
And so it's not necessarily about Trump, the way he looks. Just listen to the message of what he is trying to portray. Like don't shoot the messenger, listen to the message of what he's trying to portray to the American people. Put your feelings aside and just listen. Just take a moment to listen to what Trump is trying to bring to the American soil. That's what I would definitely advise the American people to do. And also look into both of their policies. I mean, we all know Kamala doesn't have a policy, even though the day of the debate is when she claimed she had a policy. And even all these benefits, quote unquote, that she was stating that she would bring into into the American economy, a lot of these things are not legitimate.
yeah.
There's no way she could really implement these incentives that she's stating that she could do. I mean, even if she wanted to close the border crisis, she's still standing as VP. She could still
Why
go
don't they
down.
do it right now?
Let's start closing these borders. But obviously, she's someone that will just speak and not really have any actions to really back her up.
Yeah, and she's flipping on all her issues like we talked about after the debate. I mean, there's something when you see one candidate so on top of his agenda. Like he knows exactly what to do to turn this country around, and then the other one is now like moving closer to his policies every day. Like even with the no tax on tips, right after that, right after Trump announced that, Kamala announced that too. So I don't know. I think it says a lot when someone has their plan for you to see and the other person doesn't. So the last few minutes here, guys, I just want to give you guys an opportunity. What about the young voters that are seeing these assassination attempts, the Gen Zers who are, maybe starting to question things? What can you say to them to really show them what is happening from our point of view? Lydia first.
I mean, I would say definitely be aware. Look at like what news station is the media,
Mm-hmm.
who is sharing this information that you need to be aware. I would also say that you really need to pray at this point because, for things to be revealed and for you to be able to understand what's going on. And, we may not know now, but we do ultimately know
Yeah.
because this is not against flesh and blood. This is deeper than that. And so I would definitely say have awareness there. Talk to people that are knowledgeable about this. Seek wise advice, seek wise counsel. That's also important as being younger voters, especially since a lot of us, this is our first time voting. I mean, this
Yeah.
is going to be my first time voting, and it's going to be yours, Camden. So I would definitely say that we definitely we need to act responsibly in this way, and we definitely need to just seek wiser counsel. We need to understand where we're getting our sources from,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then, Fadana, what's your message to Gen Z after all this is happening? People are scared. People are uncertain about what's going to happen.
Right. Well, the message I would definitely say to our generation is, well, our generation, we're very high tech. We can access information at any time by just searching it up. And so, something I would definitely encourage this generation to do is just listen to previous interviews that Trump has done, listen to previous interviews that Kamala has done, and do your homework from there and decide, well, is this person what this person is proposing? Does it seem more promising? Do they look like they're true and authentic in what they're saying? Because we all know Kamala has definitely changed multiple sides and even trying to adapt to certain cultures in the way that she tries to cater to them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want someone that's going to try to cater to everyone, or do you want someone that's going to try to cater to the American people? And so I think that's kind of where you draw the line is, do you really care about your American values
Yeah.
and your religion and also your right to carry? Do you care about these rights? And do you care about pro-life? Do you care about these essential issues? These are things that I would definitely tell Gen Z to really start thinking and looking. And especially if you're a Christian, these are very, very important factors to consider with voting.
Yeah, we definitely have to stick to what are they going to do instead of thinking emotionally about the person, because that's what everyone's doing. So thank you guys for coming on. This was an important discussion that, it's got to stop here. No more assassination attempts. We got to get over this. The media has got to come out and condone all of it. But thank you guys for coming. We'll definitely keep, updating and looking into the more information we find. So we'll see you guys next time. And don't forget to subscribe to No Filter Gen Z, because we are just getting started here. The election's coming up. We're going to keep you updated and give you the young perspective from our country. We're young Americans. See you guys next time.